Injuries suck. They take time away from our training, they make us feel horrible, and worst of all, they make us question whether we're actually built for running. The best time to focus on your injuries is when you're healthy. Like John Kennedy said, the best time to repair the roof is when the sun is shining. Shin splints are one of the most common injuries that runners face, and I've had a few of them, so I get it. They are not fun. So in this video, I'm going to discuss how you can get rid of your shin splints, but more importantly, how you can prevent shin splints from coming. Hey, Joe here. Welcome to my channel where you'll learn all things running, from injury prevention to injury rehab, nutrition, tips, training, and secrets that will help you become a better runner. When I started running, I went through a bunch of injuries, including shin splints on both legs a whole bunch of times. I just remember that feeling. It was honestly a horrible feeling. Every step you take, every time you try to run or walk, it just feels like your leg is gonna break. It's really scary. So let's work to avoid that. So we have to understand what shin splints are. There's two main kinds of shin splints, and the first one is on the front of the bone, and the second one is on the inside, more on the lower half of the bone, which both of them are the tibia bone. What happens is that the muscle is pulling on the bone, and when it starts to pull a little bit too much, then it can start to get irritated. The first stage of shin splints is the outer sheath around the bone, called the periosteum, starts to get unhappy and tell you like, hey bro, you're doing something wrong. And then if you continue doing that, then the next stage is actually the bone is like, hey, me too, I'm also getting unhappy. And then eventually, if you continue training and continue doing whatever is aggravating and irritating the leg, the bone, then it can eventually lead to a stress fracture. I've seen a ton of people talk online about how if you overstride in your gait cycle, then you're more at risk of shin splints. And the way to fix shin splints is to stop overstriding. Well, this is only partially true. If you're an overstrider and you're a big heel striker also, then what happens every step that you take, your heel hits the ground and your foot, instead of slapping down on the ground, the tibialis anterior, the muscle in the front of the shin, is activated to control the foot on the way down. This can put extra strain on the tibialis anterior and can lead to anterior shin splints, the shin splints on the front of the bone. But for non-overstriders, and especially for forefoot strikers, every step that you take, you're landing on the front of your foot, then you need to use your muscles to be able to control the heel from slamming down into the ground and to get a clean, smooth transition through your gait cycle. This puts a ton of strain on the back, and especially on the back inside portion of the foot, which is the tibialis posterior muscle. This, being unhappy, can lead to those medial shin splints, the shin splints that you get on the inside of your leg. So basically it's a lose-lose situation. Don't try to avoid it, don't try to get rid of it, because hey, you're either gonna get the anterior or you're gonna get the medial. Pick your poison. Well, obviously I'm kidding, but the reality is that if you want to avoid and get rid of your shin splints, it's not just about changing your gait cycle. While that may help, in addition, the most important thing is to strengthen the muscles that need strengthening and to relax the muscles and the structures that need relaxing. And obviously, if you have a history of one kind of shin splint over the other, then that's the one that you should focus on when you're thinking about preventing future shin splints. But if you have a history of both anterior and medial shin splints, or you don't have a history of any of them and you kind of want to keep it that way, then you should focus on strengthening both of them. So for anterior shin splints, you want to think about strengthening and relaxing the tibialis anterior, which is the muscle in front of the tibia. When it comes to relaxing the muscle, the first and the easiest way to do that is to gently stretch the muscle. To learn more about stretching, I've put out a video on that, so I'll link to it upper right hand corner. An easy way to stretch that muscle is to sit on your heels and let your feet go point as far down as possible. Another thing you can do is to gently just run your fingers down the muscle and massage the muscle. So now when we want to think about strengthening a muscle, we have to think about what action this muscle does. In terms of the tibialis anterior, which is what causes the anterior shin splints, the primary movement that this muscle does is dorsiflexion. So that's the movement that we're going to have to focus on to strengthen. There's two simple, straightforward ways that I like to do to strengthen the tibialis anterior, and this is honestly all you need for this muscle. The first one is toe raises. You're going to lean back against the wall with your knees straight, and you're going to keep your back and your butt against the wall and lift up just the front of your foot. Lift them up as high as you can, really push it, and then slowly lower them back down. Try to avoid using your toe muscles to lift up. So that would look like your toes extending up. So really try to relax your toes and use that tibialis anterior to get the front of the foot up. If you find this too easy or you want to progress it, then bring your feet a little bit further away from the wall. The second exercise is heel walking. This is a lot more simple, and you're just gonna walk around a room on your heels. Try to keep your knees straight just to activate the muscle a little bit more, but it's really as simple as just walking around without letting the front of your foot or your toes touch the ground. And once again, try to avoid using the toe muscles, so relax your toes while you do this. If you're finding value in this video, I'd really appreciate if you can subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell. That way you don't miss any of my future videos. Now on to medial shin splints. And for this one, it's the tibialis posterior, also known as the posterior tibialis. This muscle actually does a bunch of things. So it controls the arch, so it helps raise up the arch. It also does inversion, which is bringing the foot inwards, and it also helps out with plantar flexion. For this one, I find the easiest way to relax the muscle is through gentle massage, so just running your finger down the inside portion of the tibia right along the bone. That's something that I found to be the most effective way to relax that muscle. And here's some ways that you can strengthen the posterior tibialis. The first exercise that you can do, and this one I had to do for a while because my post tib was incredibly aggravated and sore. It's simply just moving the foot through an inversion motion against gravity. Now, if you're getting pain with that, also try going through less range of motion, or start the way I started, which was just your foot on the floor going through an inversion motion. The next exercise is just twisting your body. Stand both feet planted on the ground evenly with a good solid foundation through your tripod. What you'll do now is just twist your body, but try to get all the motion coming from your ankles and your feet, not so much twisting from your hips and your back. When you're doing this exercise, really try to keep that tripod flush down against the ground, especially the big toe and the big toe knuckle. Those are going to want to come off. This exercise will strengthen more than just your tibialis anterior, but it'll also help just overall function and mobility of your foot. The next exercise is arch raises. You're going to stand on the floor with both feet, and you're going to try to raise your arches up and back down. But for this exercise also, really make sure that your big toe and the big toe knuckle stay on the ground throughout the exercise. Try to get as much motion as possible, both when you're going up and when you're coming back down. So you're going to go through the entire range of motion. The last exercise is heel raises with a slight inversion bias. For this one, I don't want it to be a balancing exercise. So I want you to put a few fingers on a wall or a high table or something and which will help with your balance, so you can focus your feet and your legs on doing the strengthening part of the movement. Go up as high as you can and very, very slowly come back down. What's important to note that the motion is going through the big toe and not through the outside of your foot, and this is also going to help you with your tripod. If you want to learn more about your tripod and how you can improve it, watch this video right here.